We'll get started here in just a moment. Give people a chance to join. Just put in the chat there if you drop your name and location. Would love to see who's here. Always great to see you out there. I think the feed's good. All right, we'll get this going here. So welcome. This is an introduction to AI. I'm your host, Ryan Ripley. What we're going to do is spend maybe 20, 30 minutes walking through a discussion on artificial intelligence. Following that, I will take all of your questions until they are exhausted or I'm exhausted, one or the other. And we'll see where we go from there. Amy, good morning from Georgia. Welcome. Chris from Michigan. Thanks for being here. Cham from Cambridge. Whoa, we have the UK. Welcome. We have a LinkedIn user from Georgia. Welcome. Rob, good to see you again from Chicago. Hope your studies are going well. All right, welcome. So this is, we have Catherine. Good to see you there from Indy. I know Catherine. Good to see you there. All right. Introduction to artificial intelligence. But first, it's brought to you by Agile for Humans. If you want to check out the artificial intelligence course we have going, the Professional Scrum Product Owner AI course, it's really good. It actually digs into some real world examples, some tools and ideas that you can use as a product owner, Scrum Master, and pretty much any role in an organization on how AI can be leveraged to help you out. So check out the link there, and we'll bring that back up at the end. But if you're interested in that, that's one of the only public courses we're offering this year, and people have seemed to like it, and so we hope to see you there. So when I started using these large language models like ChatGPT, and more recently I've been using a lot of Gemini Pro. The first time I really dug into them, I didn't sleep very well for a few nights. I had a lot of trouble thinking through, and Victor, I see you out there. Hello. Natalia, hello. Joseph, hello. Thanks for being here. I had 3 sleepless nights. I really did. I really was kind of in this state of, oh my gosh, what is going on? In fact, I actually went and found a master's degree program in artificial intelligence, jumped into it, was enrolled within a week, and I've been working through it ever since, trying to figure out what is this monstrosity that we've unleashed on the world. And it was really 3 key things: the power of it, the speed of it, especially the speed of change, and the impact of this tool overall. It really was just very startling to me. And so when I think about, the power of it, you think about the major players out there, like the Amazon, Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, X, Microsoft, Meta. Those are really the big ones. And these large language models are just massive. You have these other like Descript, Grammarly, Perplexity. Some of these that some of you may use, some of you may not. And it really becomes this, well, it's become ubiquitous, and it's not going away, and it's embedded in everything, even your Gmail. What was interesting to me though is that according to the AI Marketing Institute, only 32% of employers are offering any kind of internal AI focused training. And so we have this massively powerful tool that's capable of doing incredible things, and only 32% of organizations are actually showing people right, good, responsible, ethical ways to harness it. And that was just, we it was very surprising to me, right? And it honestly kept me up, not just because people aren't training on it, it's because the power of these are just immense. You can put in a research request now into OpenAI, and you can get near, not going to say it's academic level. I'm not saying it should be a peer-reviewed paper, but man, is it close? It looks really good, and so it's just, and it continues to exponentially get better. Like it's not slowing down. Hello, Rupesh. Hello, Hakan. Great to see all of you. And so the power of it was just staggering. From a speed of change perspective, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, but to act with yesterday's logic. And I think Peter Drucker has a gem of a quote there. The problem is this thing changes so fast. Like every day there's a new model, a new insight. There's a few people on LinkedIn I follow. One of them is Ethan Mullick. He wrote Coal Intelligence, a wonderful book. And every day he has a new study that he's found, a new insight about the large language models, a new capability. And it's just wild to try to keep up and to try to stay ahead. And so yesterday's logic is, it seems that's what we're always applying to this. And it's really not the right way to handle the turbulence and the disruption that this technology has brought forward. An example. And so the disruption or the impact, this last thing that has kept me up, I started thinking about, when in history has this happened before? When in history have we seen such an amazing change like this? And so I thought about lamplighters. So lamplighters were an essential city worker. They brought safety and security to a city. They were well respected. Long time ago, I'm talking like 1800s, we needed lamps lit. Maybe even sooner would be like the torches. But even back, hundreds of years, it was well known that lit streets were safer. And this was a form of security. It was a form of safety. And so the lamplighter was a very important role. They were trusted to, at dawn, get the lamps lit, to keep them lit, to make sure that this would happen. Now along comes electricity, electrified streetlights, incandescent bulbs, widespread electrification, and suddenly the lamplighter is displaced. This very important job, this very important role, this respected work is suddenly no longer needed. And so Max had to move on, and Max became a milkman, right? So essential city worker, I wouldn't say brought safety and security, maybe nutrition to a city, right? Was well respected, trusted in the community. People were happy to see the milkman. He would bring the bottles of milk and take the old ones away. What happened to the milkman? The milkman lost his job to technology. The refrigerator, supermarkets, pasteurization, widespread car ownership, the economics of bringing milk to a home versus having people come to a grocery store where they would then buy more items. It's like the early version of an upsell. And that disrupted this job, which was essential and important and very well respected. And then we put Max in the milk factory, right? Essential work, brought nutrition and great things to a city, well respected. And again, Max got stuck. Max lost his job to automation, smart manufacturing, globalization, perhaps even artificial intelligence. And so this is a progression that's happened since time began, that as labor and time and technology progresses, some of these jobs that are certainly more manual in nature become automated or more industrialized in nature. And so that's definitely a thing. What's interesting about AI is that now we have to ask ourselves, will our job exist in 10 years? Because it's not attacking the labor side of the economy. It's attacking the knowledge work side of the economy. So it's flipped the org chart a bit. So now it's white collar generalist type work that is being displaced and potentially, I'm not saying completely eliminated, but certainly disrupted as this technology gains prominence and continues to grow and flourish. There's some data here that actually shows kind of what's happening. I actually, full transparency, I used Gemini and ChatGPT to actually help me take data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, some McKinsey, some Goldman Sachs, some ODEC Employment Outlook, some U.S. Census Bureau, and combining this data and doing some projections, looked at the trajectory of certain types of jobs. And so the reliance of work roles in the age of AI, or the resilience. And so on the y-axis, you'll see relative prominence, the value of this work normalized over time. The x-axis is over time, and you'll see the impact of generative AI very clearly, especially technology as well, around factory worker and the white-collar generalist. These two are taking a massive hit. And as the Industrial Revolution rages on, as the AI wars and the AI proliferation continues, this could be a trend. There's definitely ranges there about the impact and the change. And what we're seeing is skilled trades. So this is plumbers, electricians, HVAC, carpentry, engineering, these skilled trades and skilled white collar roles still remaining strong. So it seems like the specializations might win out. Again, these are projections. This is completely after that 2025 line. This is a guess. I don't want you to make drastic changes or decisions about your career, but consider that this is the first time that perhaps the paradigm is flipped, and it's actually skilled trades and specialization that might be valued a little bit higher in an AI dominant world. Let's continue. So OpenAI is actually pushing for this. So in a leaked memo, and it was Bloomberg who reported on this. They imagine level 1 being chatbots and AI with conversational language, level 2 being reasoners with human level problem solving, level 3 being agents, systems that can take action. I think we're somewhere between level 2 and 3, inching towards 3. Level 4 is innovators, AI that can aid in true invention, in true novelty. And level 5, organizationally, AI does the majority, if not all, the work of an organization. Level 5 is what they're after, right? So that is their goal. And so make no mistake, that's the push. Now, whether or not they can get there, whether or not it's technologically feasible, we'll have to see what happens. But right now, I believe we are drifting somewhere around that level 2, level 3 space, and the trillions of dollars of investment are pushing to get closer and closer to level 5. And so what I'll say about this, anyone saying what will happen in the future is lying, right? This is all conjecture. We've never seen a disruptor like this before. But what I can say with confidence is that the time between, wow, that's a neat technology, and yikes, that's your replacement, that time is shrinking. It is getting smaller. And it's this impact, right? It's this impact. And so a thought that has kept me up more than one night, and as I've tried to wrap my brain around it, is this. Imagine a world where knowledge is worthless. And that's the world we're entering. There was a study done at Boston Consulting Group, and they took a large number of senior consultants, and they put them up against recent college grads, and they had them perform complex tasks, analysis, various types of consultancy work. And the gap in skill between the seasoned senior consultants and the college grads was about 44%, measured and adjusted. And of course, some bias and some calculations and some assumptions had to be made, but roughly there's a 44% gap in skill between the seasoned group and the new grads. They did a round 2, and they said, all right, new grads, you can have an LLM. You can have ChatGPT at the highest setting that we can currently get. And all of you seasoned practitioners, you get to continue with your own brains. The knowledge, the skill gap shrunk from 44% to 4% on round 2. Not conclusive, of course. These are experiments that need to be repeated, but this idea that we're entering a world where knowledge is useless is certainly concerning. So what do we do now? And so I want to understand AI. And so my own decision has been I'm going to pursue graduate level studies in order to better understand it. Others have taken different tracks. Dave Wethgars on LinkedIn. If you're not familiar with him, you should follow him. He is trying to collect every single AI badge known to man. And he's doing a great job of it. Did a podcast episode with him. If you check out the Agile for Humans YouTube, there is a wonderful interview with him. He did a great job on it, talking about that journey. You probably want to know how AI applies to you. You probably want to know how you want to use AI to improve, to change your org, to advance your career. These are all very smart things to try to do with AI, right? And so some of these things we can look at it. What is AI? Different people have different views, right? Ray Kurzweil would say it will reach human levels by 2029. Stephen Hawking thinks that full artificial intelligence could end the human race. Ginny Rometty would say AI will not replace humans, but those who use AI will replace those who don't. Very famous quote that's been making the rounds, and probably one of the most true ones. Artificial intelligence is not a substitute for human intelligence. It's a tool to amplify human creativity and ingenuity. From Fifi Lee, one of the most prominent computer scientists in this field. She's wonderful. I believe the number of books and posts from her are wonderful to take a look at. The dates are all guesses, but some of the impacts here and what AI could lead to, I think, are very real. LLMs are foundational. I'm a big fan of what the Project Management Institute has been doing recently with their AI work. This is the CREATE formula on how to correctly and more effectively prompt AIs. And so I really like their setup. If you want to use AI to get better, I think using a good formula for your prompts is essential. And so the character, the request, the examples, the adjustments and constraints, the types of output you're after, and how the results should be evaluated, I think are all really good things to put into a prompt. Some really good practices around prompting. One of the easiest is that you can add a line at the end of every prompt that says, hey, before you execute this, make this prompt better and follow the CREATE formula and fill it in for me so that it's a more effective prompt. I think that's a really good, just simple practice you can implement immediately. James asked a really good question. What's the name of the person I suggested you follow? Ethan Mollick. He wrote Co-Intelligence. He's a professor at Wharton. Very, very good follow on LinkedIn. And so formulas like this, I think, are important. Using some discipline and some structure around your prompts, I think, leads to more expert usage and can help you learn not only how to use the tool, but then prompt the tool on how to help you get better, how to learn, how to improve. Lots of great things can come from just a really well-structured prompt. This is actually the book by Ethan Mollick, Co-Intelligence. He has some really good principles here that I think can help us better understand and use AI as well. First of all, read the book. Such a wonderful book. But always invite the AI to the table. So that means for anything you're doing, think about, can AI help us here? You always want to be the human in the loop, though. You want to keep yourself at the center. You want to keep yourself engaged, and you want to make sure that you're making the final decisions. I think that's really important as well. You want to treat AI like a person, but tell it what kind of person it is. So you're having a conversation. Prompts can be, you can thread prompts. You can ask follow-up questions. You can give it refinements to what it's answered. All of those things are permissible and wonderful to do. You should also assume that right now, the AIs that you're using are the worst that they'll ever be. And so assume improvement for now. They are rapidly getting better. I would say ChatGPT 5 was a misstep by OpenAI. They will fix that. I do think Gemini Pro 2.5 is amazing and has continued to get better. And so assume this is the worst you'll ever see, that these will only improve over time. 2 ways to actually use AI in an effective way. I really like the problem-based approach. I want to know the problem I'm trying to solve, or at least the pain I'm having. A recent example I will share from my own usage. My wife and I have 3 kids. They're very active kids. Sometimes getting dinner prepped is difficult. And so we sat down with ChatGPT 5, we created a project, and we said, here's the type of foods that we like, here's the macronutrients we need, here's the protein intake, here's the carb intake, here's the fat intake, here's what our kids are doing, here's how much they're working out and doing sports. And we put in a bunch of information about us, and we said, create a menu over the next 7 days that we can meal prep in 1 day. So on yesterday was our meal prep day. And so what we had it do was output a menu for each day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We had it output a shopping list that we would have to follow in order to meal prep. And then we had it output the recipes we needed to follow in order to prep those meals at scale for a family of 5. I'm working on an agent to go out to the local grocery stores and price match to see where it's best to buy each thing, to see if we can actually optimize our food budget a little bit, because I'm sure, as everyone knows, nothing is cheap anymore. And even at the grocery store, it's quite expensive. But just by using ChatGPT and probably an hour worth of prompts and experiments and really figuring out the project structure of ChatGPT, I never have to worry about the dreaded question of what's for dinner. We can go to GPT. We can say, hey, it's a new week. The kids hated this. They love this. We're tired of chicken. Let's switch to fish. And then boom, a new menu is created. We can prompt it. We can refine it. And then we can go shop and do our meal prep. Problem solved. And now we have this system that's tracking what we had in the past. It's making sure our macros are correct. And it's helping everybody hit their goals. Another model is use case. It's more data-driven. It could be, we want to get a competitor summary. We want to do a predictive forecast of which customers are most likely to churn. We want to create a blog post. These are more uses, right? And I think those are perfectly fine as well. I have found the bigger impacts have come from I think the bigger impacts have come from the problem-based, but that's just me. I'm going to pause. Can someone verify? I see a note here that you cannot hear me. Is that the case? Can you hear me? Are we okay? Okay, good. So how do I improve? What's interesting about this, I think courses like the Professional Scrum Product Owner, AI Essentials, what we have heard from clients, both private and public, is that the exposure to multiple tools, the exposure to multiple ideas on how to use the tools, and the opportunity. Oh, you're fine, Natalia. Thanks for letting me know. The exposure, the ideas, the free space to practice, and just hearing experience from others has been huge. And so I think that practice suggestion, whether you do a class or not, right? Using it every day, inviting it to the table, keeping yourself in the loop. I think that is so important to get practice in every single day. Follow the leaders, follow Ethan Mollick, check out what he's up to on LinkedIn. I think he's one of the best. I hope you'll follow me as well. I share a lot of what I've been up to on LinkedIn. Dave Westgarth is another one who's great to follow. And really focus. Like, if you can put 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day into improving your AI usage, whether it's video generation, prompting, and if you don't know what to do, ask ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever one you're using. Hey, I'm a new user, or here's a thing I want to get better at with using AI. Give me a 1-week plan, assuming 30 minutes a day, and it will tell you what to do. Right. And so really no excuses on not getting better. It's really about putting the time aside and practicing. I think classes can accelerate things. And so I'm certainly an advocate of that. But really use the tools and you'll see how to get better. I'm going to stop there. I think I've been rambling on for about 30 minutes, which was my goal. Again, if you want to join us for a course where we go much more in depth, this is where you can see our box office on Ticket Tailor. More than happy to share that link in the chat as well. But I'm going to bring it back to, I mean, of course, here's all of our socials. If you want to follow Todd and I, be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We put, you'll see more content like this out there very soon. But I'm going to bring it back to me. And I'm going to give everybody just a few moments, the opportunity to enter some questions, and we'll see what pops up. And I will stick around as long as the questions continue. How about that? Is that fair? And for those interested, here is the link to our box office if you're interested in the Professional Scrum Product Owner AI Essentials course. We do offer discounts and all of those things. If you want to reach out, that would be great. Any idea how often we'll offer the course in 2026? So, Catherine, so far we've offered one a month and they've all sold out. As long as that trend continues, we will continue to offer them. So I would expect to see at least 3 or 4 in 2026, if not more, assuming they can continue to sell as well as they have. And so if you want to reach out, I can give you more information. I put my email in the chat as well, and more than happy to talk about the class further if you want to learn more and connect on some possible dates. Let's see. Joseph, what concrete job or task will AI replace soon for Scrum Masters, or will it help? So I think, so one of the reasons I'm excited about AI for Scrum Masters, and this is something that we've been doing some consulting and even some training on. It's not an official course, but something that we've been training Scrum Masters on is a lot of the things they've spent time on, you know, whether they're doing some forecasting, or if they're doing some report writing, or they're doing some analysis on retrospectives, a lot of that can be automated. And so a lot of the things, whether it's like trying to figure out schedules or trying to figure out how to help a product owner with stakeholders, you know, a lot of that repetitive type work can get automated away. And so it's freeing up Scrum Masters to do what they were intended to do in the first place, right? You know, go out and be an agent in the organization, help make connections, help with delivery, help find the people and the resources. By resources, I mean money, hardware, whatever it is. Get all of those things connected and found, remove the organizational impediments, you know, all the things that we were meant to do, we can focus on, because all of the silly administrative stuff I can hand to an LLM and it's taken care of. And so I think that's something that it replaces, but I think it also enhances, right? So you can take, let's say we're doing a retrospective or a sprint review over Zoom or over a collaborative tool. We can take the transcript of that, flush it into an LLM, figure out sentiment, you know, listen for the things that were said, were not said, find out what were some product feature requests that we might have missed, who's doing the most speaking, who's doing the least speaking, who should we follow up with because they seemed angry, they seemed sad, they seemed happy, all that sentiment analysis, like all of these additional insights that we may not have caught because we're in the real time of the event. Suddenly we can go back and say, you know, what did we possibly miss? And so I think that enhances the Scrum Master's awareness of what could be going on in the events and in the wider organization. And so that's just a few examples, but I think it's a wonderful question. You know, we can get away from, in the advanced Scrum Master course, we talk about Scrum Master ? And Scrum Master ! And the Scrum Master ? is the administrator, the meeting scheduler, you know, the moving the cards on the Jira board, doing some forecasts. We can automate that nonsense away, and we can become the great Scrum Master that I just described. And so I think that's how it both replaces and helps the Scrum Master be more effective. Matthew, what's the dev cycle going to look like as I see PMs vibing some code, especially in QA, and devs making some PRD spec-driven development? Yeah, so Matthew, this is a great question. Todd's been working a lot in this space. And the true narrative course that I posted up there, it's a one day where we actually work with devs on their current life cycle. So we take one day and we build a real feature into a real application that will be fully tested, vetted, and deployed by the end of the one-day session. And I think it's a really interesting new paradigm that developers are in, because the dev cycle has shrunk. We can have product managers vibing with different tools like, he's been using Replit, and there's a handful of others. I think Cursor is another one he's been using. But what he's found, and I think what others, Kent Beck is another really great follow in this space. He's been doing a lot of work in AI generated code. What they're finding is, while the applications quote unquote work, they're struggling. Where these automated code generators struggle is proper structure, proper patterns, proper architecture. And so there's a lot of technical debt being injected into environments, even though the features are being developed quickly. And so the findings so far show we still need people who understand how to write quality software, but now they can do it much faster, and perhaps we need fewer people on teams to do so. So hopefully, does that make sense at all, Matthew? And if I haven't fully hit your question well, let me know, and I'm happy to take a follow-up. More of a help. It'd be cool to help facilitate team sessions. Yeah, I totally agree. Joseph, I see it as an enhancer if people will allow it. Very cool. What else can I help with? I see some more people have joined. Hello from Nepal. Welcome. Computational mathematics are very huge in this space. Yeah, your skills are needed. We see many companies moving away from Agile coaches and Scrum Masters, and much of the work falling on the plate of devs. AI also seems to help in that, giving them knowledge they might lack, or even coaching them in some cases to do the job. How do we see the future of the Scrum Master and the Agile coach in that light? I see the future of the Agile coach and the Scrum Master, the skills, very bright. The title or role could be interesting in the future. I think whatever title you end up with is irrelevant. Your skills are still needed. And so we're seeing a lot of Scrum Masters and Agile coaches actually stepping into development manager roles and using their skills to empower teams to deliver. And I think that's what, some people really get wrapped around the axle about, well, my title's changed or my position in the organization has changed. And my thought is, yes, I hear that, and I don't want to disrespect that, but at the same time, go help teams deliver and you'll be fine. And that's where you might become a development manager, a technical lead. You might be working with product people, helping them do the vibe coding, such a terrible term, but it's what we've got. And so while your position and title may shift, your skills they've always been essential to organizations, right? But the way that people hire for them might be different. And we might even need to think about, can I help a team deliver if I take a project manager role, but I approach it from the lens of an Agile coach or Scrum Master? That's the type of thinking that I think will help you flourish in the future going forward. And we'll have to see how that plays out. Why do you think only 30%? I don't think it's clear. So is it because they plan to lay off more folks? I'm not sure. I don't know. So I'll share my opinion. I'm not going to state this as fact. I think there's a few ideas here. I think organizations are unsure where to go for training. And what does AI training really mean? Is it just prompt writing, or is it something more? I think it's something more. I think it's teaching. And this is where I think Agile coaches and Scrum Masters can fit so well. It's helping organizations see where the technology fits. And a lot of that is around problem solving. A lot of that is around problem identification. And so I think that's such an important set of skills that can really help. And so I think part of it is they're unsure what the training should look like. Another part could be that they have or plan to do more layoffs. That could be true. But my personal opinion is the layoffs have been extreme. I think organizations are going to be disappointed that not as many people as they once thought could be replaced by AI. And I think you'll see kind of a pullback. We saw this in the age of big data, of cloud, of offshore work. There's initial overreaction and then kind of a pullback. I think we'll see something similar here as well. But in the meantime, it is certainly painful, right? And so I'm not downplaying that truth at all. But yeah, I think it's a combination of things, and two of them being they're not sure what the training should look like. And it could also be that more people have either been laid off or could be in the future. Is there potential for businesses opting for virtual AI SMPOs, replacing the need for them in dev teams? I don't think so. I mean, can a chatbot replace what a high skilled person can do? I don't know. I would say if a chatbot can replace you, there's something interesting about that. And I'll leave it at that. Because I don't know of an agent right now or an AI agent that can think like a human, that can connect like a human, that can reason like a human. I'm not saying it won't happen someday, but right now, I don't think it's there. And I personally, again, my opinion, I don't believe it's close. I think combining math with AI and machine learning will keep you employed for a very long time. Sounds like you're doing great. We've seen that there are many job opportunities as a project manager with responsibilities and knowledge of safe. In other words, you get paid for two roles in one. What do you think about this? And do you see Scrum Master? And how do you see the Scrum Master, Scrum.org for the next year? So I think there are opportunities in project management, in product management, in people management, like delivery managers, where you can approach those roles with all of your past knowledge and be very successful. And so that's the point I'm trying to make there, Carlos. I think you're getting paid to have a lot of skills that you bring to the table, and you decide which to bring forward in any given situation, augmented by AI. And I think that's the new world of work. How do I see the Scrum Master for the next year? It's tough to say. I do think the skills will still be needed in organizations. I've always thought that. But I was one of the first to say that there's going to be a transition to Scrum Masters taking on more team-based delivery manager, people manager roles. And that was initially fought against by a number of people. And I think now it's being more accepted. And so I see the need for helping Scrum Masters understand organizations, helping them understand management and leadership, helping them understand how AI augments their skills, and then helping coach them into taking on more direct roles. I've always thought, over the past 25 years of my career, that the closer you are to delivery, the better off you are. And I think now the Scrum Master is going to move a ring closer to delivery, and that could be a really good thing. But the skills are still needed. My thoughts on getting an advanced AI degree. How do you think it'll help you stay employed for the next 10 to 20 years? So I think understanding how these things work, I think understanding the underlying technologies, the application of them, the type of problems they can solve at a deep level is important. I also think the ethical, regulatory, and legal ramifications are so under studied and misunderstood that there will be a lot of space in those areas to work and flourish for a long time. But I think for me in particular, combining a management leadership skill set with understanding AI at a very deep level, I think it will help me personally as a trainer, consultant, and potentially fractional CTO type someday stay relevant. I don't know if it's the right step for everybody. But for me, I think this is the next big shift in technology, and I wanted to make sure that I understood it as well as I could. People like Dave Westgarth, they're amazing at blazing their own trail and figuring out their own learning path. For me, I need a structured path put before me, and I found a very well thought of and accredited university that wasn't charging an arm and a leg, and I found one that fit my worldview and the size of my wallet, which is small, and so I went that path, and so I'm hoping it works. I don't know. I don't think there's any guarantees anymore. I think you work as hard as you can to stay relevant in your space, and you become as flexible as possible. I think the flexibility also is important. I have a number of colleagues and friends who have said, look, I'm a Scrum Master and that's the only title or role I'm taking. And my thought is, how are you going to help on the sidelines? How are you going to help make people's lives better? How are you going to help with delivery if you're unwilling to even consider a different title, but still showing up as your same authentic self? And so, I think it's a combination of things. But yeah, for me, I think the AI degree was a good choice. It's how I learn best. For others, maybe not necessary. Let's see. An interesting comment here. In the upcoming years, AI will handle coding, front end, is developing agents. I mean, it could. It could displace everybody and take over the world. I'll say this, though. The dream of computers writing their own code has been around since I was a developer. There was some interesting. There's always been the self-writing code generator dream, and I haven't seen it work yet. And this is the closest, I'll admit that, but I'm not quite sure where it's at. It could happen. So anyone telling you yes or no, they don't know. I think it's possible. I'm skeptical. Kevin, how can Agile coaches and Scrum Masters practically demonstrate their values to leaders and headcount decision makers in the age of AI? I use evidence-based management. And we actually have an employee type template where you can use EBM, evidence-based management, to actually map out the value you're providing and to use it as a vehicle of discussion with your management and leadership so that you can use that to socialize the value that you're bringing. And so I think using a standard framework like EBM and a good template and using it as a vehicle for conversation is critical. If I ever go back into an organization, it's how I would manage my career. I would on like the first day, I would establish a relationship with my boss that involved this EBM dashboard being almost at the center of all of our discussions. And I think if you go to, and I feel bad, I don't always like doing the upsell stuff, but if you go to our box office, I believe we do have an EBM course available. A public one that's coming up. But I think that's that is the tool I would personally use. It's not the only one, but I think it's the only way to manage your career today is being value centric, delivery centric, and proving how you are helping that cause. I was very blessed to have a lot of great bosses throughout my career in organizations, and one of them was named Ken, and amazing guy. But he would always say, I shouldn't say but, and he would always say, like, Ripley, you earn the right to come in and to have your badge work every day. You earn that right every day. And when you go home at night, you need to be able to tell yourself, I earned it and here's how. And he really ingrained that into me very early. And it's something that I think about regularly. It's, have I earned the right to come back tomorrow? And if the answer is no, I need to figure out why and make sure tomorrow is a better day. You can't have too many no's in a row or else people start noticing as well. And you also need a vehicle to discuss the value you're bringing, or else it's easy to get overlooked, especially in a very large organization. Maybe a future webinar that I'll do, maybe next month I'll do one on demonstrating your value in an organization with evidence-based management. Let me know if that would be valuable. What else? Any other questions I can answer? What practical AI tools other than GPT or Gemini would you recommend for more operational admin work? So I'm a big fan of those two for operational or admin type of work. So there's some simple ones. I think Grammarly has gotten really good at making sure I sound reasonable in emails um, and in documents. I think that's an easy one to do. If you're making videos, I have found HeyGen to be phenomenal. If you're doing training videos, as a product owner, we actually use HeyGen in the product owner AI course. And we talk about how this can be used to socialize ideas to stakeholders. And if something changes, you can update the script. It regenerates the video, so you don't need studio time. You don't need the makeup, the lighting. It takes care of all that for yourself. And so I think Gen is a really good tool. And so that's one that you could look into. As far as other administrative things, you know, the emails, the documents, the all that. I mean, you covered with Gemini and GPT. Video, I would use HeyGen, Notebook LM. Using that to capture a body of knowledge. Like, so Todd took all of our Scrum 101 podcasts, our YouTube videos, and then had it generate a podcast based off of that. Or he could have it generate a study guide based off of that. There's all of these great ideas that you could use. So I think between ChatGPT and Gemini, those two, HeyGen and Notebook LM, you could get quite a bit done and free up a lot of time. Feel free in the chat if you have a tool that you've been using that you think from like an administrative operational standpoint that you think is awesome. Drop it in the chat. I'm not the only AI person on here, and I certainly do not know everything. What else? Seems like the questions have dried up and our hour is approaching. Let's see. Is AI used in supercomputer or as in quantum computing for deep and extreme? I have no idea how quantum computing. So I'm not. I do not have a genius level IQ, and the people working on that stuff are well beyond my intelligence. So I could not even begin to tell you how quantum computing works there. Any other books or courses you would recommend to dive deeper into AI? I would start with Co-Intelligence. I love that book. Every person, a lot of friends and family have reached out and they've said, hey, how do I get started? What should I do? This stuff is crazy. It's scaring me, or I want to get better. Start with Co-Intelligence. I think it's wonderful. I'm looking back. I mean, it depends on the topic you're into, right? There's a number of good books you could look at. I'll put together. So here's my commitment. Rob, here's my commitment. I will do a YouTube video this week on the top 5 books or course resources that have helped me come to terms with what's happening with AI in the market, along with some LinkedIn people that I follow and some of the Substack people that I read. I'll put together some resources that I have found that have helped me out immensely. How about that, Natalia? Does that work? Cool. Let's see. Voice Inc. for the Mac is great. Very cool. Long-winded brainstorming. Yeah, so that's great, right? So I'm actually looking for more of a Windows-based. Actually, I want one of those devices that you just kind of tap and it records, and then you can go back and process. And I'm trying to find the right one for that. And so, yeah, that's neat. Voice Inc. I'll take a look. Rob is correct. Quillbot is excellent, especially for those of us that actually write our own term papers and write our own, forum posts for our classes. But we want to make sure we're like, I check it and I'm usually at like 1 or 2%, and I have to look and go, why does it think that's AI? I sat here and wrote the whole thing, but that's a great tool to make sure that you're staying out of trouble from a plagiarism and both an AI generated content standpoint. I also agree with Rob. I cannot make myself use Grok for anything professional yet, but what I like to do is I'll take something that I've written and I'll throw it against Grok and I'll say, trash this, or give it your most unhinged arguments, or give it some great, like, I do think Grok is more open. It has a wider training set. And so I do like to see some of the things it comes up with, and every once in a while it will have a viewpoint I didn't consider and that I have to go back and think about and perhaps rewrite. So I'm a careful user of Grok. I have a lot more trust, and it's not a political thing. It's not an Elon versus Bill Gates, or it's none of that stuff. It's just my personal usage of Grok. It's been more hit or miss. I have a ton of confidence right now in Gemini Pro 2.5. Big fan of it. Yes, analyzing Agile metrics with AI, absolutely. Why are you doing any of that by hand? The machine is smarter than you. Plus, you can ask it, hey, I have these metrics, and I'm thinking about calculating velocity. Please tell me why that's terrible and why I should be using flow metrics instead, and calculate the flow metrics for me. That would be a good prompt. For those of you that get that, I'm just teasing, but yes, I would have it help with generating the metrics, and then ask it, what are some other metrics I haven't considered that could help in these situations that I'm measuring? Let it be a sparring partner with you. You are welcome. Thanks for the thanks, and thanks for being a subscriber on YouTube. That's wonderful. Claude is good. I've gone back and forth on Claude. Claude has been good to me and it's been bad to me. I'm locked in on Gemini, but what's cool is these all have different, I'm not going to say personalities, but flavors. And so some people really like the output of Claude. Some people like Grok. Some people like Gemini. Some people like OpenAI. Fill your boots, as my good friend Steve would say. What would you recommend to a Scrum Master to stay relevant in these times of AI and job losses? Thank you. I would stay up to date with current technology. I would dust off my network and make sure I'm connected to a lot of people. I think finding a job right now is more of using your network than it is using a job board. And so reach out to people you haven't talked to in a while. A habit that I've gotten into and that my friends have actually started to notice is that rather than just send like a WhatsApp or a text, I'll just go ahead and call somebody for 5 minutes and just say, hey, how you been? What's going on? What do you know? I'm trying to be more connected. And I think that is a good suggestion as well. What can we do as being computational mathematics and learn about advanced AI? Any books or something else? There's a really good book that I'm struggling through right now called Why Machines Learn. And it's heavily based on the maths behind AI. So Why Machines Learn is an excellent book. I'll cover it on the episode I have promised to Natalia. Otter.ai. Maybe I need to check that out. Cool. Otter.ai is good. Claude may have had some issues. That's in line with my experiences. So that's kind of good to see. Let's see here. How can I sharpen my skills as a first-time Scrum Master? Details or ground rules to get started as Scrum Master. Really nervous and confused about getting started. As a first-time Scrum Master, I would. I would get experience working directly with a team as soon as you can. And if that means you need to write some code, do some testing, help with product management, help as a project manager, I would not be adverse to getting your hands dirty. And what I mean is dig into the work, get close to delivery, make sure people understand the value you're bringing. Don't focus so much on the title, but on the way that you're showing up in whatever role that you accept. And I think you'll be fine. But as far as sharpening your skills, you can do that every day. The skills of a Scrum Master are really around teamwork and removing obstacles and empowering people and networking in an organization. And so you can do that regardless of title. And so I hope you embrace that. And also deepen your understanding of Scrum. Like, help find practical ways that Scrum helps organizations be successful. Get really good at bringing those solutions forward. And I think you'll find some good success. Can Gemini read images? So I use so the Snip tool and ChatGPT and I get along really well. Gemini reading images, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I'll have to check, but I do a lot of that in GPT. And I mean, I don't know if I've told this story on one of these breakouts before, but our pool pump, we have a swimming pool at our house. I took a picture of the top of the pump and I said, what is wrong? And it actually noticed that one of the O-rings had dried out and was likely causing a leak. And I looked and it was right. And we got a new ring and leak fixed. It's not just reading images. It's a real life picture and identifying a problem. And so it's pretty wild. And I've done that with other things. I've taken that create image from the PMI and I've dropped it into a project and I've said, make sure my prompts follow this. I didn't type in the create. I just dropped an image of it in and GPT read it and said, cool, I'll make sure you follow this. Which AI do you recommend to tailor a resume? I have no idea which one is best at that. When I default to Gemini, but I also get, as a grad student, a 16-month free account. And I've been very happy with that too. But I also do pay for ChatGPT. I think any of those can help you. I think it's the prompt that you write that makes more of the difference. Like, tell it what you're optimizing it for, tell it which organization you're targeting, and have it, find keywords that are important to that industry. And like, if the better the prompt, I think the better the outcome. Ryan, what do you think about the cost of each of these AI tools? Should we go for the free or the subscription? So I pay for ChatGPT, and I pay for HeyGen, and I think I think I pay for Descript, but I use them a lot. I think the ones that you're going to use a lot and get the most utility out of, there could be an economic case for payment. But if you're getting everything you need out of the free, use the free and do that without any kind of like hesitancy or like some moral dilemma, because everything you put into it is used as training data for the AI. So you're contributing by providing training data. And so I wouldn't feel like any moral obligation to do a subscription service unless you need that service to do better at your job or at what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, it's interesting that I think Jürgen Appello has a good talk around how agilists are best suited to actually help the world embrace AI, and I hope he's right, and I hope the world agrees with that opinion. Right? I think our skill set is well suited to help organizations embrace the complexity of change that AI brings, and so I hope that happens. As far as Scrum and Safe being done, I'm not sure that's true. Scrum is still used and Safe is still used in quite a few organizations globally by millions of people worldwide. And that won't change overnight. I think the focus right now is AI, but teams still need a way of working and to handle complexity. And while the AI can help, discipline and structure also come into play. I really appreciate all of these questions. It's great to see all of you here. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you want to work with Todd and I as far as a course, check out our box office there. If you're into consulting, or if you'd like to talk more about customized courses on AI and how we can help, Todd and I are certainly open to customized content, workshops, consulting, and we'd love to hear from you about that as well. Put my email in the chat, so please do reach out if there's anything else we can help with. I will do a video on books, but if you have another idea that would be helpful to you, send me an email. I'd love to hear about it, and perhaps we'll get that built as well. But I think for now, we're going to call this a wrap. We've hit our time box and then some. I appreciate all you being here. I loved all the questions. I can't thank you enough. We'll run another one of these next month. Bring your tough questions, and we will see what we can do. All right. Take care, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Check out our socials. We've got a lot going on there that you can use to follow and learn and hopefully get better. Please don't hesitate to reach out, Ryan@agileforhumans.com. It's a great way to get in contact with us, and then we can talk more about workshops, ideas, consulting, training, anything else that's come to mind. But for now, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.